Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Trevor Martin, co-founder and CEO of Mammoth Biosciences, to discuss CRISPR technology and Mammoth's role in the ecosystem. Trevor, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
You got it. And let's start with what CRISPR technology is and how it's used to detect and cure disease.
Yeah, so CRISPR technology is usually referred to as a gene editing tool, and it is a really great way of doing gene editing. But at Mammoth, we really think about CRISPR more broadly. So we think of it as kind of this programmable search engine for biology, where you can both read and write and beyond the code of life. At Mammoth, we actually leverage this technology across therapeutics and diagnostics. And the way we do that is that we actually use the CRISPR system where we can program it with what's called a guide RNA. And this is essentially entering that search string into Google, telling it, hey, I want you to find the sequence that you're either going to edit or you're going to detect. And when we're doing therapeutics, we program the CRISPR protein to go find a region of the genome that we want it to edit somehow. And when we're doing diagnostics, we program that CRISPR protein in a very similar way to find a sequence that we want to detect.
And so, Trevor, we know how you leverage CRISPR technology. Tell us a bit more about Mammoth Biosciences. How can you take that type of technology? What can you cure? How can you practically apply what you just explained to us?
Yeah, so some of the areas that we're excited about, for example, on the therapeutic side are in vivo therapies. So this is going after, for example, genetic diseases where you need to edit the cells that are actually in the body, whether that's something like the liver or that's another organ. And that's really difficult. You have to actually get this technology into the cells where they can have their maximal effect to actually cure the disease. And I think some of the new CRISPR systems we've developed, like Cas14 and Cas9, which are these new types of CRISPR technologies that go beyond the original ones like Cas9, have really big advantages for these types of delivery in vivo applications. For example, many of these systems can be like a third the size of the original proteins, and the size actually can really unlock a lot of doors of what's possible in getting these into the body where they need to be. And on the diagnostic side, obviously, we've been going through the pandemic for several years now, and it's really highlighted the need for really accurate diagnostics available anytime and anywhere. And I think what's exciting about what we're doing in CRISPR in that space is that we can really tackle the full continuum of diagnostic testing from the lab all the way through the doctor's office and near patient and even to the home, and really making these types of molecular diagnostics that can identify things like SARS-CoV-2 available and accessible.
So almost like testing for the flu is commonplace these days. It could potentially be that way with COVID going forward, because it sounds like one form of it or another is going to be around to stay for quite some time.
Yeah, so we definitely think a lot about what we call actionability. So let's say you have some sort of symptom, you want to have a test, for example, that could give you a very accurate result, and maybe give you that result across multiple diseases as well. So you can actually know, oh, okay, maybe I don't have the flu, but I have COVID, or maybe even variants of COVID, whatever is most useful to actually getting the patient the treatment that they need.
Well, that certainly is encouraging, because I think that's one of the challenges we've had, especially this winter, with being able to be out and about again, is do I have the flu? Do I have COVID? How do I treat it? How do I test? So that's encouraging to hear. In September 2021, Mammoth Biosciences achieved unicorn status with funding pushing the valuation to more than $1 billion. So Trevor, who are your key partners and what are you working on developing?
Yeah, so we've been very fortunate over the company's lifetime over the last 4.5 years to work with a really great slate of partners, both in therapeutics and diagnostics and beyond. So you may have seen recently some announcements around some partnerships in the therapeutic space. In late October, we announced our partnership with Vertex Pharmaceuticals for 2 in vivo indications. Just last week during the JP Morgan conference, we were very excited to announce our collaboration with Bayer for in vivo indications as well, starting with the liver, excitingly. I think across diagnostics, you've probably seen our announcements where we've been working with organizations like the NIH and GSK and DARPA, really driving these forward. And I think that's a testament to what we've been able to show with the technology to get many people excited about what the potential of these CRISPR technologies are. And also to the philosophy we have of really wanting to get to patients as quickly as possible, both in terms of the internal work we're doing at Mammoth across therapeutics and diagnostics, but also with partners. And that extends to our investor base as well. We've been very fortunate to have very long-term investors. And our most recent round, for example, is led by Red Mile.
All right, Trevor, remarkable work that you're doing. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Yeah, thanks for having me.